you so much for coming tonight. I am Rachel Hammer, and I am by default spearheading this effort to get AEDs in Richmond, but I'm assisted by some really great people who are here. Dan Kipp and Monique Reckner, Jill Patzel, who's out at the desk taking money, which is a good thing, and Mark Middleton, right next here. He's gonna be over the people that canvass door to door and help organize and coordinate that. And we have a couple people in the group and that have contacted me that want to help organize and get our responders together. Brenda Hine is here, and she helps with some of our various computer, etc. Do you all know that we have a website? Has anybody been on the website? I really encourage you to go to our website. It's in the brochure that went out this past week to your home, and it's got a lot of information, and it's an easy place for us to update information. We do put things on Facebook, but we realize everybody's not on Facebook. So if you can look at the webpage, I think that will help you.
What is the website?
Okay.
tvrichmondaed.org.
Yeah, tvrichmondaed.org, just like the checks. Coincidental. And this is Bob Sjogren from the Village Public Safety Department, and this is not his first rodeo. He's done this quite a few times, and when he's not busy on this part of it, I believe he does a whole lot with the training of people for CPR. So you may run into him again, but he's been a great assistance to us, and we appreciate all he's done. And he's going to talk about starting a program in our community.
Bob.
All right, good evening, everybody. Again, my name is Bob Sjogren with the Public Safety Department. Part of my job here is I am in charge of the AED program. I am here to talk about the program to try to help sell it to you guys in the Village of Richmond. So before I start, I just want to say, show of hands, how many people think this is a very good idea? All right, my job's done. Have a good night. So I'm obviously talking to the wrong group of people, but I'm here to put on a little presentation to tell you more about the program, to answer any questions that you guys might have about the program, and that way you can go and tell others what a great program this is. And I'm going to make a little disclaimer. I hope that this is a huge waste of time and money for you guys, because I hope you never have to use it.
Agreed.
This program has been around for almost 20 years, and there are some neighborhoods that have never used the program in over 10 years. There are other groups, unfortunately, they have a black cloud over them. Does everybody know where LaBelle North is?
No.
Okay, so LaBelle North runs off of Moyer Loop by Morse Boulevard up by the main fire station. And in 2 years, they had 9 cardiac arrests. 9. They had 5 in 1 year, they had 4 in another year. My next thought was, oh my God, don't live in LaBelle North. Does anybody know why we're doing this?
Save lives.
Yeah, to save lives, exactly. That's it in a nutshell, to save lives. Now, how many people think, well, that's not my job. I have a fire department that can do that. They have trained people that can come and do that. How many people think that? Well, you really do, okay? We have a very great fire department here. The problem is time. Time is our enemy. Because when it comes to cardiac arrest, the brain is not getting oxygen. And what happens when the brain doesn't get oxygen? It starts to die. And you may survive this event. You may go to the hospital and you may walk out, but nobody can tell you what your quality of life is going to be. Because it all depends on when this event occurred, and when someone found you and made that important phone call to 911. Could have just happened. Could have been a minute ago, could have been 5 minutes ago. But wouldn't it be great if there was somebody who could provide simple, basic, life-saving steps to help you survive this until the professionals showed up? That's what this program is all about. Getting help to people in a timely manner to not only save their life, but to give them a very good quality of life. So I had a little PowerPoint presentation. Unfortunately, there's a problem with the audio, and the few little videos that I do have, not going to be able to show you. Not detrimental to the program, okay? They're just a little funny videos that kind of just, go along with the whole presentation. Anybody has any questions, raise your hand. This is very informal, okay? I want to make sure that you guys leave here with questions answered to your satisfaction. That's my goal here. Okay, I want to make sure that you have the right information and you walk out of here feeling a lot better. Now, I know everybody, I saw people, the hands went up about this is a great idea. Don't be afraid, but is there anybody out there who's not sure if this is a good idea? Don't be afraid. Okay. Now I know who to direct my presentation to. And I hope that at the end of this presentation, you feel a lot better about this, sir. You guys ready?
Yes.
All right. So a little bit about sudden cardiac arrest. In the United States, last year, there was over 355,000 sudden cardiac arrests outside of the hospital setting. That's a lot. 80% occur at home. Another good reason to have this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Unfortunately, of that 355,000 people, only 10% survive. Anybody want to take a guess what one of the reasons might be?
Fast response.
Yeah, time. That's the problem. Time. Either it's delayed or nobody's doing anything. Cardiac arrest, it doesn't discriminate. It doesn't matter who you are. Doesn't care about your age, your sex, your race, your health history, your family's health history. Because a lot of things are handed down from our parents. It doesn't matter. Perfectly healthy people, doesn't matter your age, can experience a sudden cardiac arrest at any time. Who can tell me what's today's date? January 9th. We're 9 days into the new year. Anybody want to take a guess, as of right now, how many AED groups have been alerted to cardiac arrest in this year so far? 5. And it's only the 9th.
How many groups are there?
I'm going to get to that, okay? A couple years ago, who watched the football game? Yeah, perfectly healthy person. Now, his cardiac arrest was a little bit different because his cardiac arrest was due to a severe blow to his chest. But it can still happen. And do you know, I don't remember what the guy's name was because I'm not a big football fan, but, I'm sorry? Okay, Damar Hamlin. He is now a CPR instructor, teaching the skill that saved his life. If it wasn't for an AED, he probably wouldn't have survived the incident. Okay? Comes down to this. Early access to CPR and access to an AED can dramatically increase survival rates of cardiac arrest victims. And believe it or not, more people just like you every day save lives with CPR and using an AED than we save. Why is that? Because you're there, exactly. You watch it happen, and usually it's what you do at that moment that can make the difference for this person. Okay? That's what it's all about. Early intervention, better chance of surviving. That's what it all comes down to. So, can anybody tell me, or does anybody know, the difference between a heart attack and cardiac arrest? Well, you're going to find out. So a heart attack is basically a plumbing problem where blood flow to the heart gets restricted due to some type of blockage, and that's what causes that pain in our chest. It's a plumbing problem. Can be fixed a lot of times with medication. Cardiac arrest is an electrical problem. The heart is not beating normally, so it's not pumping blood. And what it does is, it kind of quivers. It acts erratically, it's not communicating with the brain. And the only thing that can stop that quivering, and get that heart to start beating normally is what?
Electricity.
More electricity. So, as AED communities, you're a bunch of electricians. Basically, okay? A shock from an AED is the only thing that can turn cardiac arrest around. All CPR is doing is buying time for this person by circulating that blood that has the oxygen in it, getting it up to the brain. That's what this is all about. So the program is called Neighbor Saving Neighbors. And I don't know who came up with the phrase, but I think it's appropriate. And what it is, it's a program where neighbors, you, can provide simple life-saving skills to save one another before the arrival of the professional first responders. And I know, I've heard it, a lot of people say, amateurs shouldn't be saving lives. We have a fire department that's around the corner. Wait a minute, what was that? Okay. So, and like I said before, most cardiac arrest saves are because of bystanders, those amateurs.
Good scenario.
Doctors wouldn't be coming up with these CPR classes if they didn't think you could do it. That's how simple this is. A lot of people say, I don't want to hurt anybody. I don't want to get sued. Don't worry about it. If somebody's in cardiac arrest, their heart's not beating, and they're not breathing. So technically, what are they? They're dead. Technically, they're dead. You can't hurt somebody more than that. Am I right? Even poor CPR is better than no CPR. Okay? As far as liability, there isn't any. You're considered what's called a lay person. You're not a professional, you're not a healthcare provider. So there's different laws that cover you. And it's called the Good Samaritan Law. And it's a lot of verbiage, and it's all technical and things like that. But in a nutshell, as long as you're doing something in good cause and good faith of this person, you are covered by this law. Whether you have any training or not. If you stayed at a Holiday Inn Express last night, you'd be covered. One person got the joke. If you watched a show on TV last night and you came across someone and said, oh my God, that's just like what happened on the show. Let me do what he did. You're still covered. There is no liability. Remember, you can't hurt somebody more than dead. Who's taken a CPR class before? Awesome. What is one of the things that can happen doing chest compressions.
Break ribs.
You can break a rib. Well, yeah, you can break a rib, but usually what happens is the cartilage that holds that rib to the breastbone separates. It makes a cracking sound. Is breaking ribs worse than being dead? No. You can't hurt somebody more than they already are if they're in cardiac arrest. All right, so a little bit about the history of Neighbors Saving Neighbors. Believe it or not, it started back in 2009 officially, and it was the idea of this gentleman here. His name is Lou Simon. Lou moved into the Villages in about 2004, and these are his words, not mine, so don't shoot the messenger. We're a bunch of old people. Our chances of having a cardiac arrest are a lot greater than most other communities, especially with our demographics being a retirement community. So we need to do something to help ourselves. Because back then, the fire department was a lot smaller, and it took us a lot longer to get where we needed to go. So they went out, they raised the money, they purchased AEDs, they got themselves trained. They had one problem. How are we going to know when we're needed? You can't expect the neighbors to pick up a cell phone and call somebody. So what they did was, Lou went to the fire department and spoke to the fire chief, Chief Tucker at the time, told him what they had done already and what their goal was. And through the fire department, they were able to get Lou and his trained responders those little pocket pagers. And they were tied into the 911 center, so when there was a cardiac arrest, their little beepers would go off with an address and they would go and help. Great idea. Right now, to date, Lou's group up in Glenbrook, across from the Savannah Center, they've had 2 cardiac arrest saves. Now, is that a lot?
If it's your life, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it is a lot. I think it would be a lot, especially if I was one of them. But here's the best part about this story. So they had 2 cardiac arrest saves, and about 3 years ago, they had another cardiac arrest. Just happened to be one of the people that they originally saved. The week before the incident, this woman celebrated her 105th birthday.
Oh, gosh.
When they saved her life the first time, they gave her about 15 extra years of life to spend with her family, her grandkids, her great-grandkids. Now, unfortunately, this time she didn't survive the event because I guess at 105, she felt that she had lived life enough and she had a do not resuscitate order. Okay? But it just goes to show you that the program works. Okay? So right now we have 288 individual neighborhood AED groups, over 930 AEDs, and over 6,000 trained people in this program. As far as we know, it is the largest program of its kind in the country. And we must be doing something right with this program, because not only do I receive phone calls and emails from communities just outside of the Villages or in different counties within Florida, but also people in other states. Through emails and phone calls, I have helped start programs in New Jersey. I have helped start programs in Missouri. So this does work, and people like the concept, okay? Any questions so far? Am I boring you? Oh, good. All right, so again, why is this program important? Time. We would love to have a fire station on every single street corner. So if you had to call 911, it would take us 30 seconds to get there. Great concept, but is it realistic? No, it's not realistic anywhere. Okay? The problem is, for every minute that this person is not being helped, their chances of surviving decreases 10%. And like I said, time's against us. The people that we see collapse in front of us have a much better chance of surviving this incident than someone that we find. Because when we just find somebody, regardless of where it is, we don't know when that survival clock started. Now, right now, our average response time at the fire department is about 6 minutes. From the time we get in the truck to the time that we reach your door. We only have so many fire stations. We only have so many fire trucks and only so many ambulances. The problem is we are so busy that if you had to call 911, that closest fire station might be helping somebody else, which means help is now coming from a much further distance. Now, does anybody know where the closest fire station is to your village? Probably Eisenhower. Probably Eisenhower. The next closest would be the one on Lower Morse Boulevard, just south of State Route 44, which is a hole.
Yep.
However, come the end of the month, we're opening up a new fire station on Warm Springs Boulevard. Does everybody know where it is? You know where the, what is it? State Farm Insurance, right across the street. Okay? So that's going to cut down response times and make it a little bit better. But those fire stations down that way, south of 44, are some of our busiest. So who knows? Maybe when you have to call, maybe it's 5 o'clock in the afternoon. We know what traffic's like, right? At Morse and 44, okay? But maybe that closest ambulance is just leaving Leesburg Hospital because all our 12, 13 other ambulances are busy helping other people. And you have to wait. That's why this is so important. So last year, the fire department responded to almost 27,000 calls. Year before that, it was only about 25,000. So we've added about 2,000 more calls. What do you think next year's going to be? Maybe 30,000. But I will say this, we do have plans of opening up more fire stations, but they're going to be farther south of you. So it might not benefit you that much. And we average about 75 calls per day. You know, the Village is like the 17th largest city in Florida. Did you know that? And we just keep growing. We're not like other communities, which have established boundaries. Ours just keeps going south. I mean, the big joke is pretty soon there's going to be golf cart access to Disney. You laugh, but it's probably true. All right, so let's get down to it. What is an AED? Automated external defibrillator. It is a life-saving electronic device that's made to be used by people that don't know how to use it. That is the target audience of this machine. You don't need any special training, any special certifications, licenses, degrees, nothing. Is there somebody who's never taken a CPR class before? Okay. Well, if your hand is up, just to let you know, I could hand an AED to you right now and you'd be able to use it. There's only 2 steps. Turn it on, do what it says. That's it. That is how simple it is. You can't hurt somebody using it because the only time it will ever work is if it detects the heart in that quiver that I was talking about, where it's not communicating. So if we wanted to, I could have one of the staff people bring in a real AED from the front desk, put it on any one of you, including myself, turn it on, and push that button that says shock as many times as I wanted, and nothing will happen. That is how safe these machines are. Any questions?
You have an AED
In this building? Yes. Yep. There's one in every rec center, at least one. But they're only available when the rec center is open. And you guys really don't have a rec center.
Across the
You guys
street.
got gypped. I know it's across the street, but
Yeah.
still, if you're at the other end of Richmond, that's no good to you. All right, so this is what your money is going to. X number of AEDs, as well as a weatherproof cabinet to store it in to protect it from the elements. If you know anything about AEDs, well, any healthcare providers? Okay, couple. So, we chose a machine that we felt was affordable, easy to use, as well as logistically, as far as supplies, cheaper in cost, and also the expiration of the supplies is more than double of most AEDs on the market. So you're not buying batteries as often, and they're also a lot cheaper. You're not buying pads as often because they're lasting a lot longer. Okay. What's great about this machine is, and it's the only machine on the market that does it, it has a device built into it that will tell you how well you're doing your compressions. And if you're not doing them to the standard of what is taught, and if you didn't know, you're supposed to push down how far, CPR people?
2 inches.
2 inches. If you're not pushing down on that chest 2 inches, the machine will tell you so and tell you to push harder. And will keep telling you until it recognizes that you do it. Can't get this wrong. That's how simple it is. And there's also a couple other hidden costs, such as the installation of the cabinet out in the neighborhood, usually on a post, just like that. Or it can be also mounted to a wall of a villa. Any question? Yes, sir.
What is the upfront cost of each unit? About,
The average cost is about $2,100–$2,200.
and what is the life expectancy of the unit before you have to refresh?
Well, the AED industry recommends every 10 years. However, every AED that's made is built to perform daily self-checks of itself. And in these self-checks, there's like 8 or 9 different internal and external functions that it checks. It checks the battery, it checks the pads, it checks the circuit boards. It will actually build up a charge like it's gonna shock somebody and then dump the charge to make sure that it's gonna work. As long as it passes its daily test, as long as your responders, your committee, performs a monthly visual test of the machine, as long as you replace the batteries when it tells you to, there's no reason why this machine might last more than 10 years. We actually had one machine last 16 years before it reached what the industry calls its end of life. It had to go in for service, and they said, there's nothing we can do for this, we can't fix it.
And who is going to service these units to make sure that the batteries are good and other components?
It's up to the committee.
Was it third party?
No, it's up to your AED committee here. And all it is, it's about a 10-second visual inspection of the machine. Because, hold 1 second. The industry agreed upon the colors green and red. If there's a green indicator, the machine is good. If it doesn't pass its tests, the green indicator turns red and it starts to beep to notify you that there's a problem. All you have to do is look for the green indicator, make sure that the pads aren't expired, and that's your monthly test. Monthly inspection. Yes, sir.
In a community the size of Richmond, how many of these would we have?
Do you remember how many I said?
Well, yeah, we're looking at both sides of Richmond, and we're starting with 18.
18.
And these would be on post or?
Yes. One of these
Has-
two.
Has there been any problems with theft or?
Since the inception of the program, we've had 3 machines stolen. However, I think that and we can't prove this, but we think that there was just a target of opportunity for somebody. My personal feeling is that one of these monthly inspections was done, somebody forgot to secure the cabinet, and somebody's.
Is it a lock or? Is
You can lock them up if you want to, and have your responders have access to it, because you want to protect your investment, or you can leave them unlocked and let everybody and anybody have access to it. It's up to your committee.
So what do they do in other communities?
They do
All
both.
the above.
All
I leave it up to the groups to make that decision, because I'm not the one who's writing the check.
Yeah.
They both have their pros and cons. Yes, sir.
I was curious, how do we go about finding space where we're gonna place them? And
So one of the things that I did when I sat down with the committee is I created a map of the Village of Richmond. And on this map, it showed basically general locations of where we felt would be a good location to put one of these devices. And it's based upon traveling distance of 850 feet. We didn't want to have to see people travel more than 850 feet to get to an AED. However, your committee has the final say. A lot of times when I sit down with committees, sometimes they think the number's too low, sometimes they think the number's too high, and they're gonna have the final say in the location of the device, be it on district maintained property, or it can also be located on a resident's property with their permission. Yes, sir.
What do you think the response time is if they're gonna be 850 feet? Anyone in one of the points in the villages, what is their response time to get to the unit?
Well, it depends on where they are. Problem is that every single cardiac arrest is always gonna be different. You never know where you're going to be if you're a responder in relation to where this person is or where the closest AED is. But we have no way of tracking how long it takes for the first person to get there, because there's no way to communicate with them. But we have been told that within a minute or so, we've had people kneeling next to this person in distress.
Because I think, if I might, I think the most important thing you need to remember is not the machine. The first person has to start CPR and send somebody for that machine,
Correct.
okay? It's not going at the machine because that person isn't breathing and their heart isn't pumping.
Here's the thing. If I'm a responder, if I've been trained to be a responder for Richmond, and I'm sitting in my kitchen, having my morning coffee, and my phone goes off telling me that there's a cardiac arrest right next door. But the closest AED is down the street, around the corner, and it's a couple minutes away. What do you think I should do? I should go right next door and start that CPR, getting that oxygen to the brain. There's going to be other people that are coming.
They may walk right past that AED.
Exactly. If they're going by where this machine is located, they're gonna stop and pick it up and bring it. And if somebody's coming from another direction,
They may bring
and they're gonna stop and pick up one if they see one and it's still there. And you'll learn more about that in the training. Hold on one second, there was a question. Yes, sir.
do you know when the box is open?
No, it's not alarmed, because all that does is that just incurs more cost, and you have to have a power source. Okay? You want to know how I know? If I go by it and I don't see it in there. Yes,
Well-
ma'am. Oh,
Go ahead.
yes, ma'am.
If somebody's alone, lives alone, and the door's locked, how are you gonna get in there?
Well, unfortunately, if you live alone, well, I live alone. Fortunately, if you live alone, and if you experience a sudden cardiac arrest, you won't even have time to make the phone call. However, do you go out? Do people see you outside your house? Do you have people come visit you? So even if you live alone, you can still benefit from this and it can still save your life. Unfortunately, because you live alone, again, if you collapse, you probably won't even have a chance to make that phone call. That is how quick this happens. It's not like, a lot of times, it's not like that chest pain where you feel the chest pain, oh my God, I don't feel good, and you make that phone call and we're already on the way. A lot of times it can happen without warning. There's a term, it's called the silent heart attack, okay? There's no chest pain, there's no difficulty breathing, okay? Heart attack can turn into cardiac arrest like that, okay? So again, even though you do live alone, you can still reap the rewards of this program. Unless, of course, you're that person who sits at home and doesn't go out and doesn't have people come visit them, and you're a hermit.
Could I?
Sure.
My mom's got one of those alert things.
Mm-hmm.
Now, obviously, if she's alone, I mean, she hits it, supposedly the fire department knows about it, and obviously they'll respond. The way I understand it works, hopefully, she's never used it, so we don't have that kind of history, but I was just curious, like, if that did work, if that did start, I guess this system would alert the volunteers next door, go over to her house. She happens to have she doesn't lock her door right now, but I'm just saying, if it was locked, is there some Samaritan thing where you can break in? Because I mean, she doesn't answer the door,
Well,
what does that scenario look like?
You threw a lot of scenarios.
Yeah, I know, well.
Okay, so if you didn't hear that in the back, he's talking about his mom has one of those medic alert pendants, okay? And there's so many different ones out there, and some of them, you know, like everything else, some have more bells and whistles than the others. If it's one where you press the pendant and you can talk to somebody, that's great. A lot of them, you hit the pendant and it just sends an alert to a central station, and they contact the local fire department that there's an activated medical alarm. We don't know what's wrong. We can't make contact, okay? With that, and I'm gonna tell you why. I've been in the fire service, I'm in my 42nd year. And I cannot tell you how many times I was sent to the wrong house because the hysterical caller transposed 2 numbers in the address. Last thing you want to do is break somebody's door or window and it's the wrong house. This is Florida, people. Everybody's got guns, okay? Did we have a question in the back?
Yeah, it was related to what you just kind of answered. Specifically, I wanted to know, how does the village's fire rescue system receive those health alert calls? And if they come through some type of a central switchboard, is there a means of identifying the address as a Richmond address and hence send out an all call?
No, that's not how it works. As far as and I'm going to talk more about how the alert is received by those trained people in a few minutes. But unfortunately, everything as far as alerts, now, I'm not a computer techie kind of person, but the best way for me to explain this is, it's all done automatically on the back side of the computer. There's no human that clicks on a button that sends the message out, okay? What happens is, the dispatcher puts in an address, the dispatcher puts in a code for whatever type of medical emergency this is. If it's a cardiac arrest code, the address goes to the service that puts out the alert and then sends it out to the people. Okay? Unfortunately, with medical alarms, if it's just, we received an activation, we don't know what's wrong, we tried calling the house, we don't receive, we don't get a response, nobody answers. Okay? Well, that could mean a lot of things. Person might not even be home. And the last thing you want to do is show up at the house and break down the door. So, again, with medical alarms, it's very tricky. So, does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay. Pulse point. And Pulse point is run through the Sumter County 911 Center. Because like I said before, the information from 911 goes to Pulse point, who then sends out the information to the responders in that area. It is a free service. All you have to do is download the app to your smartphone. Anybody have a flip phone? Okay, well, were you planning on becoming responders? Well, if you have a flip phone, if you can't download an app, you can't. But there's a way around that, and we can talk about that later on. Pulse Point, this third-party service, has a community CPR responder program. And it was designed by, I believe it was a fire chief out in Washington State, and he was having dinner at some restaurant, and all of a sudden he saw one of his fire trucks go by the restaurant and stop at whatever the establishment was next door. Turns out, right next door there was a cardiac arrest that he didn't even know about. And his first thought was, this person collapsed, somebody called 911, and they had to wait for my fire truck to come and render care. And here I am, a trained paramedic, sitting right next door and had no clue that this was going on and could have been helping this person before the fire truck arrived. So he designed this system to alert laypersons of cardiac arrest. And this is a nationwide system. If you register yourself as a community CPR responder with Pulse Point, you can be anywhere in this country. And if that jurisdiction uses Pulse Point, you can be alerted to a cardiac arrest in that general vicinity. Great idea, right? Because when the alert goes out, it opens up the app and it gives you an address, it gives you a map, it shows you where the closest AED might be to this person, and if it's close by, you can grab it, or you can go right to that person to start CPR. What a great concept. Any questions? Yes?
With the data that you've shown in one of the earlier slides, with obviously times of the essence to get to that individual. If there was a cardiac arrest happening today, not to point on you, I hope it doesn't happen, but if it was you, and I was to call the 911, the lady on the other side of the aisle here was to call or run next door, or however far the distance is, to the unit, who do you show gets there in a faster time?
I would think that if I collapsed and you called 911 and this nice lady next to you ran to get the AED to bring it over to me, who would get there first? Well, how far are we talking to where the AED is?
Or wherever these distances are.
Okay.
50 feet or whatever
Well,
you said earlier.
Our average response time is 6 minutes.
And what's the fire department's response?
No, 6 minutes.
For the fire department?
Yep, average. As long as it's a perfect world. As long as that closest fire station has somebody in it. Okay? We've already established Eisenhower, closest fire station. Okay? But let's just say that there's something going on south of State Route 44. Let's just say that there's a big fire here. Big building. Lots of fire. Lots of fire trucks. Maybe the next closest piece of fire apparatus, be it a fire engine, which has the same trained people as on the ambulance. The only thing they can't do is bring you to the hospital. Or the closest ambulance might be Bonita Boulevard. That's like 15, 20 minutes away. So yes, she's gonna get there first. That's what this is all about. Working together. I train all of the people that are in this program. I haven't trained them all, but I'm the one that does the training. And I kind of like to refer to them as the first responders. Because they're going to get there 9 times out of 10 before we are. Whether they're just doing CPR or they have their AED with them as well. Does that answer your question?
Somewhat.
I think,
Go ahead.
I lived in another village where we have this, so, I think, you explained it then that when that alarm goes off, it's possible for 8 or 9 people to show up.
Yeah,
in a minute.
absolutely.
So one of those people is gonna grab the AED,
Yeah.
you know, so it's kind of like a group effort.
It's a team effort. It's when the alert goes out, it's more than likely not going to go to just one person, unless there's only one person who is registered as one of these community responders in that vicinity. But what's also good is anybody who is registered, not just somebody who lives in Richmond, but who knows, there might be a landscaper who might be, I don't know, maybe they live in Chitty Chatty. They have an AED group. Maybe he's cutting your neighbor's lawn. His phone's gonna go off too. So that's another person. I'm registered as a professional responder. Maybe I'm driving down Medicine. I'm not gonna miss, I'm not gonna miss a party like that. And I bring my own AED. So you're gonna get the best of both worlds. Somebody that can do CPR and they bring their own AED. That's what's great about this community responder program that Pulse Point has. The people that can be alerted are not just gonna be limited to those people that are trained and live in Richmond. If there is somebody who's registered with this service and they are within that vicinity, they are going to get the alert too. More people makes this a lot easier. Has anybody ever had to do CPR for real? It's tiring, isn't it? Yeah. The more people, the easier it's gonna be.
It takes a village.
Yeah, literally, it takes a village, the Village of Richmond.
That's right.
Any other questions? We're almost done. I see you looking at your watch. Don't worry, I want to get home and eat dinner too. Yeah. All right, so I said before that I do the training. Whoever expresses the interest to become a neighborhood responder will receive a free training class. However many people you've they're going to be trained. They're going to learn CPR. They're going to learn how to use it. Not only how to use an AED, but you're going to get to train with the machine that you're buying. You take a regular CPR class, you may practice with whatever they provide you. Now, they all work basically the same, but some of them have little differences. Wouldn't it be great to learn on the machine that you're going to have? Absolutely. You're also going to learn what to do for people with choking, and you're going to get a little orientation about becoming a responder, about what we expect from you. You know, we just don't help you start this program and let you put these machines out in your neighborhoods and then let you do whatever you want. Okay? We kind of have to control you a little bit. But don't worry, there's not a lot of rules. Very simple. We are teaching a curriculum called Compressions Only CPR, which means it's a course where you don't have to give breaths to the person in distress. Now, show of hands. Who wants to give mouth to strangers? Good answer. I got family members I'm not touching. Okay? And you know, there's a lot of reasons why we chose this curriculum. And you know, it's not a certification, it's a training class. We opted to stay away from certifications for a couple reasons. One, can't give you a free class because unfortunately it costs money to get that little card with that word certification on it. Who wants to take a test? Who wants to take a written test? Really? You really want to take a test? If you had the choice of taking a test or not, you would rather take a test? How about 2 tests? Because for certifications, you have to take a written test that you have to pass, and you also have to take a practical test, and you have to perform basically flawlessly. Because for certifications, I'm the instructor, so if something goes wrong, guess what? They're coming after me. But again, this compressions only curriculum is easy to do. Anybody can do it, and it works. Okay? Anybody can do it. My philosophy when I teach, and this was when I first moved down here 6 years ago, and I started teaching these classes to regular community people, residents. It was a little bit difficult for me to teach to my students. And with our demographics here, being a retirement community, we were teaching, and we still are, a lot of people that, have difficulty doing CPR. My philosophy is do the best that you can. You don't have to do this perfect, you just have to do something. And I said it before, even poor CPR is better than no CPR, okay? Even though it's not a certification, we still like to see you follow the American Heart Association's 2-year refresher